During post-Civil War Reconstruction, four things occurred: the Lost Cause myth, Black Codes, the Vagrancy Act of 1866, and the 13th Amendment. This in turn led to three other things: a distortion of history, Jim Crow, and white supremacy. Welcome to our History Now podcast, where we bring you our history to understand the present and prepare for the future. I'm Carl, podcast writer and producer. New podcasts will be posted regularly, so subscribe and be notified when new episodes are available. Our host has a lot to unpack, so let's dive in.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into a pretty heavy but super important part of American history.
Yeah, a time period with some really difficult stuff.
We're talking about the Lost Cause myth and Jim Crow. We've got some amazing source material to work with, and
Definitely.
We're going to try and unpack how this one powerful narrative could have such a big impact on the lives of African Americans, you know, in the aftermath of the Civil War.
Yeah, and it's fascinating, isn't it, how a story can actually shape laws and create like real world consequences for people.
Right, and that's what's so crazy about this.
Yeah.
This isn't just an abstract thing. It's like
Just a story.
Yeah, it had a real tangible impact on people's lives.
Exactly. And, you know, it's pretty amazing how the Lost Cause myth, which kind of popped up right after the Civil War, it wasn't just about changing the past, but it was almost about controlling the future. You see, it was a way for the defeated South to kind of cope with losing the war. But they did it by twisting the truth about slavery and the Confederacy.
So the Lost Cause myth, it basically portrays this like romantic and kind of a glorious version of the pre-Civil War South. Right.
Exactly. Like everything was perfect and happy.
It's like enslavers were all benevolent.
Yeah.
And enslaved people were content.
Since slavery wasn't even that bad, right?
Yeah. They really downplayed the brutality of it all.
Yeah. They totally glossed over the horrible parts.
And it's interesting because they also blamed the Confederacy's defeat on just the Union having more resources and stuff.
Right. Like it was just a matter of numbers, not a moral issue at all.
Right. So they completely avoided any responsibility for the moral questions surrounding slavery.
They totally sidestepped that whole conversation.
And here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
Our sources connect the Lost Cause myth directly to the emergence of Jim Crow laws.
Oh, absolutely.
How could a story about the past
lead
to segregation happening in that moment, you know?
Right. Well, the Lost Cause focused on states' rights and this romanticized Southern way of life, which kind of provided justification for segregation.
So they were basically saying, okay, we lost the war, but we can still maintain our way of life.
Exactly. And that way of life included racial hierarchy.
Right. So it made segregation seem normal and natural.
Exactly. A continuation of this Southern way of life.
And it wasn't just talk. Our sources mention these groups like the United Daughters of the Confederacy and the Sons of Confederate Veterans.
Oh, yeah. They were big players.
And they went all in on spread of the Lost Cause narrative.
Yeah.
They put up monuments, influenced textbooks.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they were determined to make sure this version of history was what everyone believed.
Absolutely. They had a huge impact on how people saw the past.
It's almost like they were rewriting history.
In a way they were, and it's crucial to understand that at its core, this movement was about maintaining white supremacy.
Okay, so the Lost Cause myth wasn't just about remembering the past differently.
Right.
It was about keeping African Americans in a position of less power.
Exactly. It was about control.
So on one hand, you have emancipation.
Right.
But on the other, you have this very deliberate attempt to stop Black people from actually being free.
Yeah, like freedom on paper, but not in practice.
And that's where things like the Black Codes come in.
Oh, yeah.
Which were these laws passed in the South right after the Civil War.
Yeah.
And they sound incredibly harsh.
They were incredibly restrictive. They were designed to control the lives of newly freed African Americans.
Like imagine having to sign yearly labor contracts and face intense punishments if you broke them.
It basically forced Black people back into this position of economic dependence.
It's almost like slavery, but with a different name.
And that's a really important point, you know, because many elements of the Black Codes, they were simply repackaged into Jim Crow laws later on.
So the goal remained the same.
Oh, yeah. It was all about maintaining white control. And we can see this in specific laws.
Oh, yeah.
Like in Mississippi, there was a law that said Black people had to carry proof of employment every year or they would face punishments.
Like being forced to work. Exactly.
And South Carolina had similar policies.
Yeah, many states did.
It's like they were setting up a system to make sure that African Americans were always stuck in poverty and in danger.
Yeah, it was a very deliberate system of control. And then there were the vagrancy laws, too.
Okay, vagrancy laws, what were those all about?
Well, they were basically a way to target African Americans who didn't have jobs. They were labeled as idle and faced some pretty harsh punishments.
So just for not having a job?
Pretty much. And get this, they couldn't even testify against white people in court.
What?
Yeah, or be on juries or vote or even change jobs without their employer's permission.
Wow. It's just unbelievable how these laws were deliberately used to keep African Americans from having any real power or opportunity.
Absolutely. And it's kind of tragic how even the 13th Amendment, which was meant to abolish slavery, actually had this loophole that was used to exploit black people.
Oh, yeah. The 13th Amendment is supposed to be this landmark achievement.
Yeah, supposedly ended slavery. But our sources point out that there's this exception that allows for involuntary servitude as punishment for a crime.
Exactly. And that's where the Vagrancy Act of 1866 comes in.
Okay, so this Vagrancy Act basically used that loophole to make forced labor legal.
Exactly. It targeted anyone who was unemployed or homeless and forced them into labor for up to 3 months.
So even if you were just down on your luck.
Yeah, and if they tried to escape, they were shackled and forced to work without pay.
It just shows how deeply ingrained the desire to control and exploit black labor was, even after slavery was officially abolished.
Absolutely. It was a system built on control, and it's heartbreaking to see how the system was rigged against African Americans.
The 13th Amendment meant to free them was actually used to trap them.
In a new form of forced labor.
Right. So the lost cause myth was used to justify Jim Crow. But were there any points where people started to push back against these injustices?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The fight for civil rights was a long and difficult one, but people fought hard against the injustices of Jim Crow.
And I'm assuming there were key moments that helped to dismantle these systems.
Oh, definitely. There were legal victories along the way.
Like, what were some of the major turning points?
Well, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was huge.
Yeah, that was a landmark achievement, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. It finally made segregation illegal in public places and banned discrimination based on race.
Color, religion, sex, national origin.
Yeah, the whole 9 yards. It was a massive step forward. But, the struggle for true equality, it continues.
Yeah.
We can still see the echoes of the Lost Cause and Jim Crow in our discussions today.
It's crazy to think that a myth created after the Civil War could still have an impact on us today.
It's a reminder that history isn't just about the past. It shapes our present and our future.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thanks for listening.